Thank you, Jerry. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Jesus and Tim in Las Vegas. My name is Tim Behrens, and my goal every day is to get out as many gospel tracts to the people coming to the suicide capital, the secret suicide capital, the world, from all over the world. We call this place Sin City, or a lot of people do, and like I say, it's a secret suicide capital. And 99% of the crime on the Strip is not reported, because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But God knows, when people do commit suicide, it's recorded in their home papers, the states or countries they're from, but not here. You never see that on the news, because that's bad for tourism. But what an opportunity to get the gospel out. There's no other city in the world that I would want to be in than Las Vegas, Nevada, to get the gospel out to these precious people. I'll hand them a track like Dan Fox and I did last night. Hand them a track on the Fremont Street Experience and say, here's 6 free movies for you. Just go to fullyfreefilms.com. And if you know anybody who's suicidal, there's a movie called Exit. And 9 times out of 10, people say, oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. But they're not going to tell you they're suicidal. Very rarely they'll tell you. But, man, they know somebody, or they are themselves. So pray for us. Mike and I are going to be going to Mexico. This will be our 24th city or town in Mexico this week. We'll be coming back Saturday, and would appreciate your prayers. We're going to hand out 3,000 copies of Why Is Mary Crying? You're wondering, what is that all about? You can read it at chick.com. Just go to chick.com and type in Why Is Mary Crying? You'll be able to read the whole track. It's a wonderful track for our Roman Catholic friends. Now, I found out today from my friend Phil that I will be able to go to Taiwan April 1st to the 10th. That's back on. We had initially talked about that and it was off. It's back on, but I need to come up with $3,000. We're going to be handing out 10,000 Chick tracks in Mandarin to our friends in Taiwan. I don't know, as Phil pointed out, Taiwan could get hit by China, invaded by China, if we attack or invade Venezuela. We just don't know what's going to be happening. But what an opportunity it'd be to do that. And if the Lord opens the door, I'd love to go. And that'd be April 1st to the 10th. And if you can help out, I'm going to give you an address at the end of the program today where you can send that to me, and we can make the plans to get the tickets and get those tracks out to those precious Taiwanese. Today we're going to play a debate between a dear friend of mine who went home to be with the Lord January 6th. He was a supporter of this ministry. He was a dear friend. I even co-hosted a program with him in Southern California for a while. When he was doing his program there, Dr. Robert Morey, I used to tell him, you're the smartest man I've ever met in my life, next to my dad. My dad was smarter than you are. But Dr. Morey debated many people. He wrote 68 books, and the website is faithdefenders.com. We're going to get right into this debate with a Muslim by the name of Ali Dahaty, Dathee. And you can pick it up from faithdefenders.com. Gary and Darrell they can double them off for you, and I would definitely recommend this. If you're a Muslim or if you're a Christian, you want to witness to Muslims, you need to be listening to this. So let's listen to Dr. Robert Morey, the late Dr. Robert Morey, debate Ali Dahaty.
This is a Faith Defenders audio presentation with author, lecturer, and Christian apologist, Dr. Bob Morey.
Well, it's another beautiful day in central Pennsylvania. A little drizzly, but that's okay. Hi, I'm Bob Durgan, and we have big doings in the studio this hour. Islam defends itself on WHP till 5 o'clock. Dr. Robert Morey in one seat. He's a controversial author, 25 books to his credit. Morey is most critical of the Islamic religion and has written the book, The Islamic Invasion. Ali Dahaty. Did I get that right?
Right.
Thank you. He's with the Islamic Society of Greater Harrisburg. He's in a chair inside the studio here as well. And he is going to take exception to much of what Robert Morey said on a recent show with me about the Islamic Invasion, the book. Ali Dahaty wants to make a statement prior to the dialogue. So, Ali, you have 60 seconds. And then, Robert, if you want to respond or take 60 seconds, the first statement, you may. Ali?
Thank you, Bob. I am glad to be here on your show because it has not only given me an opportunity to see you, but also to meet with Dr. Robert Morey, who is essentially a talented writer. I want to make a couple of points before we get into any discussion. First point, I must admit that I'm not a scholar on Islam since I didn't go to any particular school. My only qualification is that I am one of the Muslims born and raised in a Muslim home, and I practice Islam. And that's what information I will share whatever I have. Second point, I'm not a skilled debater, Robert, and I would not like to get into argument or counter-argument. However, to the extent I know about my religion, I'll try to answer the questions and raise some questions about some of the assertions you have made in your book. Third point is that I feel comfortable being informal, and I suggest to Dr. Robert Morey and to Mr. Durgan to be the same. You may call me Ali. If you want, I can call you Bob. Thank you.
All right. Robert, you want to say anything?
I think in the...
This is going to be the only formal aspect of the program, friends. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, in the show that we had together, my primary concern is not the religious tenets over which pagans or Buddhists or Hindus or Christians can disagree, but it was that the religion of Islam has certain religious tenets which involve political law or Islamic law that deny human rights, civil rights, women's rights, and that these things can be documented from the UN Commission, from Amnesty International, and I have several cases with me right now of 2 recent murders in Pakistan.
Bob Morey, I'm going to have you get specific on certain aspects of your book of the Islam invasion, and then I want to get into an informal dialogue between you and Ali, and we can discuss the differences that you have over that issue. We're taking calls as well. We'll probably open the phones in about 5 or 6 minutes. Robert Morey on WHP with Ali Datai. Robert Morey, author of The Islamic Invasion, and Mr. Datai is with the Islamic Society of Greater Harrisburg. All right, Dr. Morey, the Islamic invasion, that's ominous in itself. What is your main problem with Islam in America?
Well, because when you become a citizen of the United States, as Ali did, he swears to uphold the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. But the religion of Islam, as part of its religion, contains teachings which are in violation not only with the UN Declaration on Human Rights, but the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights. And we're going to talk about civil rights, women's rights. We're going to talk about Pakistan, from which Ali has come. I have brought with me the documents from the National Council of Churches in Pakistan concerning several murders. And Muhammad taught in the Hadith that when a Muslim kills a non-Muslim, he is not to be punished. So a noted Christian poet and teacher by the name of Nimat was murdered. His throat was slit. He was disemboweled. His intestines were trampled upon. Also, Tahir Iqbal has now been murdered. And by law in Pakistan, Penal Code 294, 295, if you say anything against Muhammad, it's the death penalty. So I think Ali would agree that if I were in Pakistan with this book, which you read, and lecturing against Islam, I think I would be a dead man. And this is not part of simply of the culture, it's part of the religion, because it's Muhammad's inspired
Okay, but we're
teaching.
not in Pakistan.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yes, and as a matter of fact, you have already 2020 went into the home of a Palestinian Muslim family where the man murdered his own daughter.
Dr. Morey, I think that whatever Bob has said, that we are not in Pakistan, or we are here in this studio to discuss your views about Islam and not the views or things which happen in a given country.
Well, wait a
Any
second.
country, wait a minute, just a minute, please. When in any country, anything can happen. Don't you think the people are being punished over here? People are being killed every day in this country?
Not because...
I mean, no,
Well, you asked a
because-
question. Let me jump in and answer now. What I'm saying is that according to the teachings of Muhammad in the Quran and in the Hadith, there is an explicit denial of human rights. so that as the Muslim community grows in America, if it ever reached with enough power, as it done in England with its own parliament, as part of your religion, you will have to call for the overthrow of the freedoms. For example, do you publicly condemn the death penalty on Salman Rushdie, the writer? Will you publicly go against that?
Wait a minute, Dr. Modi. You are getting off the track already. We are not talking about anything else but your book.
Well, the show was on Islam, and you wanted to come, in my understanding, and defend Islam.
This is true, but...
So you will not talk about what the Prophet has said in the Hadith when he said that when a Muslim kills a non-Muslim, there is no death penalty?
Well, wait a minute. This is not... You don't... But I want to ask you, what's your trouble with Islam, for example? How many books you have written so far about Islam? You, in particular cases, which happen in Pakistan, it could happen in India, it could happen in Egypt, any country.
I have the documents that it is happening in every Islamic country.
This is true.
Violation of human rights according to the UN, and it's part of the religion. In Saudi Arabia...
All right, hold on. Just jump all just a second, Dr. Mori. Let's talk about what your feelings are, or your concern for Islam taking root in America to the extent it has, okay? If that... Make that your thrust, and then if you have to refer to what Islam has become in other countries, okay, but try to make your thrust, because that's what your book is, the dangers that you perceive Islam confronting Americans with as its roots go deeper into our culture.
And I start with culture, political law, women's rights. These are the issues that should involve every American, so that when you pledge allegiance to the Constitution of the United States, Ali, you didn't think that this involved a denial of parts of your religion. For example, do you believe in jihad? Do you believe in jihad? The second most important thing in Islam, according to Muhammad. Do you believe in jihad?
Oh, yeah, true. We believe in jihad. It does not mean that the country we live in, we are going to go against the rules and regulation of the country. Yeah, I am a Muslim. I live in this country. If I go on the road, I drive 55 miles an hour, which is stipulated. By obeying the laws of the country is not going against Islam. Islam encourages you to be a citizen of any country you are going to be living in. Obeying the laws of a given country does not violate being a Muslim. For example, if I go to work in this country, I'm not in Pakistan or Egypt, any other Muslim country. I live in this country and I make my living in this country, pay my taxes over here. What's wrong with this?
Well,
it does not violate any Islamic injunction.
Well, no, we're not talking about people's right to immigrate to a country for a better life. That's what you've done.
Yeah.
27 million Muslims have immigrated to the West in look of a better life. I'm not
what's wrong
with that. What I'm saying is that the religion of Islam involves Islamic law. Just as right now, as we are speaking,
right,
Islamic law has now been made the law in Malaysia. The result, they are shutting down Christian schools, confiscating Bibles and hymnals.
Are you saying that can happen in America?
Well, remember, just before the Third Reich in Germany, Hitler in his little brown shirts, and they were saying, like right now, in that time, right now in Pakistan, they're saying Christians have to have a special ID.
All right, are you saying that can happen in America?
Absolutely. It's happening in England, it's happening in France, it's happening in Germany. I am in contact with people in those countries.
Let Ali respond
to you, Bob. It's happening right now.
All right, let Ali respond to that.
Things could happen, but unless it happens, we should not discuss it. It's hypothetical what you're talking about. That things
Malaysia's hypothetical?
Wait a minute, I'm talking about this country where we live.
Right, about the murder that was reported on 2020?
See,
the article in Reader's Digest about all these Muslims who beat their wives because the Quran says they can beat them?
You are going different directions, Robert. To stick to one point, I'm talking about this country. First you talked about the violation of whether you live in this country. If you live in this, I responded to that question that if we live in this country, that's nothing against Islam.
You mean you don't have to obey Muhammad in this country?
It does not. Just try to think that we live in this country, we do whatever we are supposed to do religiously speaking. There's nothing against Islam. If I pray my 5 times a day and do all of the things which are essential for a Muslim to do, so what's wrong with that living in this country? I can do the same thing in Pakistan and Egypt and any other country. What's wrong with that?
Well, according to the religious leaders of both Mecca
in the
and
Quran
Medina,
or any
I'm talking
place.
about this. The religious leaders of Mecca and Medina, I have the article in front of me. They say the second most important thing for the Western Muslims to understand is they must do jihad until they overcome the Christians and the Jews. Allah has sent them into the West to conquer those nations. They've set up their own parliament in England right now. They say they are not going to obey English law. I have received death threats from Muslims who are not following United States law. Salman Rushdie's hiding in this country. Betty Mahmoudi, who wrote the book Not Without My Daughter, she's in hiding because they've threatened her life. How many violations of human rights do you have to see before, as I can prove, and you know I can, I've got the Quran in front of us.
Don't filibuster
the Hadith,
now, Bob.
we've got it in front of us. Islam involves the denial of the most basic rights.
I'm not talking about any special event. The rights are there. People can enjoy. Those people, do you think those who live in Muslim country, they don't have the rights? They do have the same rights what you have. If I have a right to vote in this country, similarly, those Christians who live in Muslim countries, they are allowed to vote. Robert, the title of your book is Islamic Invasion, but the contents portray a different picture. After reading your book, at least I have come to the conclusion that you have attacked every aspect of Islam, its doctrine, its practices. Seems to me that the title of your book should be Islam under invasion rather than the other way around.
Well, to tell you the truth, Ali, I didn't even pick the title. The title that I thought would be good would be Islam Unveiled, or The Truth About Islam, or The History. But I'm a slave to the publishers, and they pick the titles, they change the chapter headings. That's the fate of any author. They chose it, they felt that was the best, and as it's going into Parsi and Urdu and Hindi and Arabic and Spanish, they're changing the title depending that it would be, because it was offensive to many Muslim friends. And when I noticed the title, I said, well, they're going to change that because I didn't pick it. But no, what it's simply talking about, since you've read the book, is that a very simple question. As an American, and I accept you, Ali, as an American, do you join with me condemning Islamic law as expressed in Islamic countries, such as Penal Code 294, 295, which is the death penalty for blaspheming Muhammad? Would you join with me saying, I call upon my Muslim brothers to stop violating human rights? Will you join with me, yes or no?
I will not join you on this. There are certain things I will join with you on them, but not this one. Islam, in an Islamic country, if they try to lead their lives according to the Islamic law, then whatever Islam says, it will go in that part of the world.
So they can put to death somebody.
Wait just a minute. I'm not talking about the same law and introduction of the same law in this country. What could happen in your home cannot happen in my home. For example, you drink and I don't. It's not rational to say that whatever happens in your home, it could happen in my home. Or whatever happens in my home, it could happen in your home. If my family says prayer or do some Islamic things, do you think that it could happen in your home? No.
Yes, I do, because here's the point. If country after country, when the Muslims gain authority, they put Islamic law into effect, and they begin to murder the Christians, deny human rights for Jews. They begin to persecute the Ahmadis, the Baha'is in Iran. If, as soon as the Muslims are in the saddle, out goes any freedom of religion, of speech, of assembly, then I should be concerned Because if it's happened in
All right,
20,
hold on a
30
second,
countries,
Bob.
it's going
Do you
to happen
believe
here.
that's happened in other countries, Ali? Do you deny that's happened in other countries, or do you agree
I
that's
don't know.
happened?
I'm not up on every event which goes on in any given country.
Well,
But
Pakistan is good now.
All I'm saying is that whether it's Pakistan or Egypt or any other country, whatever the law is in that given country, whatever they want to do, they can do it. We are not talking about the introduction of the same law in this country.
I mean, you
do not have to be afraid what is happening in Pakistan, that it could happen in this country.
But it's happening in England. Merry old England. There are now enough Muslims that they have made their own parliament, and they said they are not going to follow the laws of England. It's happening in France. It's happening in Germany. So
I don't
those
know.
are Western countries where people said, oh, it'll never happen here, but now it is happening. So I'm just saying, we better wake up in this country. It's coming.
What I'm saying is that it is possible that in England and in France and many other European countries, the Muslim could be elected to a position in the Congress just like we have in this country.
These people aren't elected. They made their own parliament in England.
All right,
Now,
jump ball. It's
who
3:30. Hold on. Keep your thought, Ali. I have a headline break coming up. I had to interrupt you mid-sentence.
All right, we're going to pull it down right there, and we'll continue with part 2 of that next week. Folks, listen to this. A person who professes to be Christian and kills people is not a Christian. As I say to the fellas, my black friends in jail on Monday night, if somebody's on your lawn wearing a white hooded robe, burning a cross, singing Onward Christian Soldiers, that doesn't mean they're a Christian. The Bible says in 1 John 4:20, if any man says he loves God and hates his brother, he's a liar. For how can he love God whom he hath not seen and hate his brother whom he hath seen? But if a Muslim kills a non-Muslim, that's perfectly okay. Muhammad said it's okay. So I hope our Muslim friends, their eyes will be opened. I encourage you to get a copy of this debate, Ali Dahati versus Dr. Robert Morey, the author of Islamic Invasion. I'm sure you can pick up the book through faithdefenders.com, faithdefenders.com, and we'll have more on that debate next week. If you would like to help me out in getting to Taiwan, I'll need $3,000. I just found out today we want to hand out 10,000 Chinese tracts. China could attack Taiwan. If we go into Venezuela, as Phil was pointing out, that could happen there. And I'd love to be able to get out tracts with our friends there. And my address is Tim Behrens, B-E-R, and then the word ends, B-E-R-E-N-D-S, Post Office Box 24091, Post Office Box 24091, Las Vegas, Nevada 89101, 89101. That's Tim Behrens, B-E-R-E-N-D-S, Post Office Box 24091, Las Vegas, Nevada 89101. I'll be going to Mexico with my friend Mike this coming Thursday, our 24th Mexican town, handing out Why Is Mary Crying? You can read what we're going to be handing out by going to chick.com. Would appreciate your prayers, so much appreciate your prayers and financial support for this program. And thank you again for listening. God bless you all. Live for the Lord. Bring home all A's. And remember 1 Corinthians 15:58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Brandon will have it up on YouTube, today's program, shortly on Jesus and Tim in Las Vegas. And Super Dave does the newsletter. You can read that at jesusandtim.tk. God bless you, my friends. Live for the Lord. Bring home all A's. Bye-bye.
Give me oil in my lamp, keep me burning. Give me oil in my lamp, I pray, hallelujah. Give me oil in my lamp, keep me burning. Keep me burning till the break of day. I will sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King of Kings. Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, Give me gas for my Ford, keep me trucking for the Lord. Give me gas for my Ford, I pray, hallelujah. Give me gas for my Ford, keep me trucking for the Lord. Keep me trucking till the break of day. Oh yeah! Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King of Kings. I will sing